Okay, so we're good to go. All right, so if you haven't joined us before, we're going to play some trivia, some animal trivia. You can go to this website, menti.com, and enter that code, or you can scan the QR code on the screen, and it will take you to the questions that you can answer live. Or you can record your questions and answers on your own, track of your score, and we will post a numbers of what your score means at the end of it. So, all right, Patty, you ready to read?
Yes, welcome everybody. Welcome to our third late night, our December late night. And we are going to go over some trivia questions for you. And we recommend that you take a piece of paper and tally your answers to the questions so we can actually know how well you do in the end. Okay, so in 3, 2, 1, we're going to start. And question number 1 is, what is the only mammal capable of through flight? A, birds, B, bats, C, flying squirrels, or D, dragonflies?
Julie, you have to monitor people answering. Tell us when you think a good amount of people have answered.
Still a couple coming in. We have some for each one. All right, I say you can go now.
Okay, so the answer
Is bats.
I didn't get that one right, so I guess dragonflies. Okay.
What animal has the highest blood pressure? Giraffes, blue whales, elephants, or mouse?
Okay, we have a bunch coming in. Kind of almost a tie. Let's see, now we have a lot for blue whale and giraffe just pulled ahead now. So we have a bunch, most people are for giraffe, and we have tied between blue whale and mouse. And I think you can call it now.
All right, let's see what the answer is.
The answer is giraffe, and the giraffe has extremely high blood pressure. It's double what humans' blood pressure is. And if you think about it, their heart is also bigger because they actually have 3 hearts, and together they actually weigh 25 pounds.
All right, question 3.
Question number 3 is, which of these animals has the largest brain?
So let's see. Sperm whale is winning right now, closely followed by blue whale. Let's see. Giant squid, elephant. The 2 whales are now tied. Elephant's catching up. Sperm whale just came ahead. All right. Why don't we go ahead now?
And the answer is sperm whale. The brain of the sperm whale can weigh up to 20 pounds.
It's the only one I've gotten right so far. I did not look at these questions ahead of time, so this is new to me.
Which of these animals kills the most people per year? Tigers, sharks, mosquitoes, or spiders?
Still waiting on answers. Got some answers for shark.
You'll be surprised, actually. This is kind of a tricky question. Are we ready to show the answer?
Yes, I can show it.
So it's not actually mosquitoes per se, but disease carrying by mosquitoes will kill about 725,000 people per year. If you think of examples like chikungunya, dengue, malaria, those are the kinds of diseases that we're talking about. Question number 5. Which aquatic animal is capable of producing the hottest temperature? A, killer whale, B, pistol shrimp, C, lion mane jellyfish, or stargazer fish?
We have almost tied the pistol shrimp and the jellyfish. None for killer whale yet. Few for the fish. Give it another couple seconds. The jellyfish and the stargazer are catching up. Oh, now jellyfish and pistol shrimp are tied. Does anyone want to break that tie? Oh, we just, the pistol shrimp came ahead. Why don't you give the answer?
Yes, that's correct. The pistol shrimp is the right answer. So you guys are doing great. Remember to keep the tally. To stun its prey, the pistol shrimp can snap its claw to create a jet of water and bubble. And when the bubble collapses, it emits a flash of light that can reach 5,000 degrees Kelvin. So that's super hot. And remember, if you're watching or you just join in, please scan with your cell phone the QR code here or go to www.menti.com with the code 3565479. And that will get you to the questions. And when you answer, we'll be able to tally your answers with our program. Number 6, which of these is the only marsupial that lives in North America? A, opossum, B, armadillo, C, squirrel, or D, raccoon? I got this one wrong when I was practicing.
We have votes for A, B, and C. Up, and we have one for D. We have an overwhelming amount for the opossum, though.
And that is correct. Opossums are the only marsupials that live in north of Mexico. Which one of these egg-laying creatures is a mammal? A condor, a sea turtle, a bullfrog, or a platypus?
We have a couple different answers, but again, an overwhelming amount for the platypus. Still a few more coming in.
I pushed
And
it.
the answer is the platypus. And if you come to the museum, on the second floor of the museum, we actually have an exhibit that has a platypus, and you can look at it once we're back open. They are only two kinds of marsupials, and the other one that was in that picture is called an echidna. So the echidna and the platypus are the only two mammals that lay eggs. So what animal has the thickest fur? A, bears, B, penguins, C, sea otters, and D, lions.
We have a fairly even spread of answers. The bear, sea otter, and lion are almost, or actually they are tied now. And still a few more coming in. And now the sea otter has crept ahead,
All right.
creeping a little more ahead.
Is sea otters. They have 1 million hairs per square inch in their skin. We can go to question number 9. And this is, which of these vertebrate animals is thought to have the longest lifespan? A, giant tortoise, B, Greenland shark, C, blue whale, or D, elephant?
Got a couple different answers. Okay. The whale and the tortoise and the shark are all high up there. You have a couple of seconds.
Okay.
I think most people will think tortoises because they live really long time. The actual answer is Greenland shark. They are estimated to live between 200 and 400 years. Question number 10. How many brains does an octopus have? 1, 5, 7, or 9?
We have answers for every option.
You will be surprised.
7 and 9 are now tied. 9 is now creeping ahead by a little bit. Give it a couple more seconds.
All right, let's see.
And yes, the answer is 9. Octopi have a central brain, so there is a brain in the head part that we will look at. We will expect to find a brain, but they also had one smaller brain in each of their 8 arms. So you have to think about this as a nervous system, right? There's a lot of neurons connecting, and that's why they move the way they move. We are tonight in our animal trivia for the December late night. If you look at the QR code here, you can use that with your cell phone to go into the www.mentee.com. If you put the code 3565479, then that will allow you to answer the questions if you join us later, and we can see your responses there. And we also recommend that you keep tally of your questions along the night so you know how good you're doing and in the end. Question number 11, what is the only bird that can fly backwards and upside down? A, hawk, B, owl, C, finch, D, hummingbird.
Right, we're starting to get answers. We're getting a lot for the hummingbird, a couple for the others. Give it a few more seconds.
You there, Patty?
Okay, yes. Sorry, there was like a delay in my computer. What is the only bird that can fly backwards and upside down? And the answer is hummingbirds. They can actually move their wings and rotate them 180 degrees. Question number 12. What is a rhino's horn made out of? A, bone, B, ivory, C, keratin, or D, skin?
We have none for bone. Oh, now we have one for bone, a bunch for ivory, a few more than that for keratin, and one for skin. Give it another couple seconds, and then I think we're good. Keratin is now creeping ahead by a pretty good margin.
Great. And that's the correct answer. The answer is keratin. It's the same material that makes your fingernail grow, and that also your hair is made out of keratin. So that's what you see in the horns. That's different from elephants, that their tusks are made of ivory. Question number 13. Which animal takes the longest time to digest its food? A, sloth, B, elephants, C, lemurs, or D, bears?
Right, we're starting to get some answers. Sloths and elephants seem to be popular. Got some for lemurs as well. We have some more for sloths. Sloths is starting to creep ahead a little bit. All right, I think we're good.
The answer is sloth. They have very slow metabolism. That's why they sleep most of the time. It takes a sloth 16 days on average to digest one single meal. And that's the cutest picture of a sloth that I have ever seen.
It really is.
Question number 14. Which of these is the world's most poisonous spider? A, brown recluse, B, Brazilian wandering spider, C, Danis longlegs, or D, black widow?
All right, we have a lot for black widow. None for daddy longlegs, and a few for the other two. Let's see.
Are we ready?
Wandering spider's creeping up there, but black widow is still in the lead. I think you're good to go, Patty.
The answer is B, Brazilian wandering spider, although I admit that I also thought it was the black widow. This spider can reach about 6 inches inside. So if you think about it, it's pretty big compared to the black widow. And that means they produce a lot more venom or poison. Question number 15. What color is a horseshoe crab blood? A, red, B, blue, C, purple, or D, black?
All right, we have a lot of people think it's blue. Some people think purple, and a couple think black and red. And we're getting a lot more for blue, a couple for purple. So blue is in the lead by a lot. Patty?
Yes, that is correct, guys. You're doing great. Blue is the right answer. And there's also crabs that have blue blood, and that is because they oxidize copper rather than hemoglobin in their blood. Final announcement of tonight, we have animal trivia. You can scan, if you join us late, you can scan here the QR code, and then, or you can go to menti.com and put the code 3565479, and with that code, you will be able to see, to put in your answers so we can account for them over here. We also recommend that you keep tally of your questions at home, and we will see your answers shortly. Question 16, how many eggs can queen termite lay in a single day? 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, or 30,000?
Looks like 10,000 is in the lead, 30,000 behind it. 10,000 is creeping up more now. So a couple more seconds.
Has it come up for you, Patty?
Now it did, yeah. So queen termite can lay up to 30,000 eggs per day. That means more than 11 million eggs per year. Question 17, how do insects breathe? Through holes spread out around their bodies, using lungs similar to mammals, throughout their antenna, using special hairs that traps oxygen.
All right, we're starting to get some answers. Pretty even spread. It looks like A, C, and D are the most popular right now. Antennae and holes are now tied. Maybe give a couple more seconds and then give the answer, Patty.
Yes. Insects actually breathe through holes spread around their bodies. You can see in the picture there that it's usually in the abdomen area. And they're called spiracles. Question number 18, which one of these animals can move its eyes in separate directions? Geckos, lemurs, squid, or chameleons?
I have answers for all of them right now. Geckos and chameleons seem to be the most popular. Still getting a couple more in, but it looks like chameleons is ahead by a lot.
And that is correct. Chameleons can see in all directions and they can rotate their eyes around in different directions.
This is one of the few I got correct, and I only know that because in the movie Sing, the assistant has the eyes. I was like, I know that from that movie.
Which of these amphibians does not have legs? Snakes, caecilians, newts, or earthworms?
All right, we have answers for A, C, and D. They're pretty even right now. Looks like we also have some guesses on newts now. But caecilians are creeping ahead just a little bit, closely followed by snakes and earthworms.
Okay.
So 2 more seconds, Patty.
Yes. And the answer is caecilians. They look like snakes, but they're actually amphibians similar to newts and frogs. And
Right, last question, right?
here we go to our last question of the night. What is the largest amphibian in the world? Goliath, toad, African toad, Chinese giant salamander, or American alligator?
All right, we've got answers for all of them.
I got this one wrong, I'll admit it.
So
I got most of these wrong.
looks like the most popular is the Chinese giant salamander, followed by the alligator, and then the toad, the Goliath toad. So just a couple more seconds, Patty.
Yeah. And you are a great group. You actually got it right. The Chinese giant salamander can grow to almost 6 feet in length. And as you can see in the picture, it's a very huggable amphibian.
That looks like an alien. That's not something I would want to touch.
So now count how many questions you got right. And if you got 8 to 10, you're a budding biologist. You got 11 to 15 correct answers. You're an animal enthusiast. And if you got 16 to 20 answers correct, you're a wildlife expert. If you want to, let us know in the chat what is your actual classification in this biology range.
I did not score mine, but I'm pretty sure I got budding biologist. I am very much a geologist and not a very particularly good biologist. Okay, so thank you for joining us with trivia. We are going to move on to our next activity, which we're going to be making fingerprint animals. And there'll be some of these animals that, some that we talked about, like the giraffe. So supplies that you need, if you have a stamp ink pad, one of these, okay, that, you know, stamping, or you can use markers or paint. You can, you know, put marker on your fingers and stamp it that way. And some paper, maybe a pen or a pencil, or I just totally blanked. I was going to say markers, crayons, things like that. And if you scan the QR code, or you can type in the link that's at the bottom of this page, that's the Padlet that you can post your creations of what you make to that Padlet. All right, Julie, is this the last? Yeah, okay. So I'm going to stop sharing. Where is my... So Ria, would you like to show us some of your creations?
Sure. Thank you, Lauren. So I got some help from my little assistant. My 3-year-old niece helped me make some of these fingerprint animals, so I can show it to you guys. And we used ink from one of our stamping kits. And there we go. Okay. So up here, I made a little snake and put a little pattern there. We gave it a little tongue. We made a little butterfly. Here we made a dinosaur. So this one, maybe I guess we'll call it a apatosaurus, right? Or any one of those long necked dinosaurs. Down here we made a caterpillar. It is up to you to decide if you think it is a very hungry one. And over here we made a little, well, according to her, this is a sweet honeybee. And this one is a worm. And we also made this one, which I think was supposed to be some type of bug. I'm not sure. This down here was supposed to be an ant, but it turned out to be a baby caterpillar. And we also have a little butterfly too over here. And like Lauren said, you can, and I think Lauren is making right now with her ink. You can use ink, you can use paint, you can use anything you like. You can make your own fingerprint animals, and you can put them on the Padlet. So it looks like Lauren is doing a much better job than than me, I think. Is that a fish? Ooh, that's a nice fish. So I'm gonna make some more.
Yes, it obviously is a fish. I just muted myself so you didn't hear me moving around in the background here. I'm not sure what else I should make. Right. Let's see. Ria, give me an idea.
I think you should make a bird.
Ooh, okay. Let's see, how can I make that? This might look more like a bat. You can decide whether it's a bird or a bat. Hard to see the. Now it's getting comical, but that's the best I can do.
Oh, that's really cute.
The head's a little too small. It looks a little weird, but that's okay. As I tell my children, there are no mistakes in art.
It looks a little bit like a vulture, I guess.
That's true. It does, yeah. It has a obscenely large body and wings compared to its head size.
I guess I am making a bunny of some sort.
That's a good idea. So I can make a dog. I'm going to end up having black ink all over everything down here.
I only have green and orange right now.
How about a spider, since we talked about those in the trivia?
Well, that's a good idea.
Thanks, Julie. So here's a little spider.
Hard to
Doesn't
see,
quite look.
but they're there. You can't see it on the. All right. Let's see. Spider.
I'm gonna make it a happy one, and I'm gonna give him a hat. So don't forget to post your creations to our Padlet. Please share them with us. We'd love to see what you're making. Oh, that's really good, Lauren.
He's wearing a bow tie.
Oh, mine's wearing a hat.
I could give him a top hat too.
Very fancy.
I'll give him tap shoes too. It's a tap dancing fancy spider.
I think I'm gonna make an octopus.
Julie, give me another idea from the.
How about a whale?
Oh,
And so there's another fun fact about the octopus. In addition to their 9 brains, they also have 3 hearts, and their blood is also blue like the horseshoe crab.
I don't really know what a whale's body looks like, but it's hard to see it from the side. This is going to be really sad, but that's his big mouth. That's the best I can do. That's really sad. Close enough. Maybe make this a little bit bigger.
Julie, what else should we make?
How about a bat? We didn't do that yet, did we?
No.
You can do a bird.
Are you drawing? Have any ones that you've drawn, Patty? Show them on the screen if you've drawn any. My fingers are black. See my fingers. Let's see.
Maybe we should try a hummingbird.
I was just thinking that, and then I stopped because I didn't know how to make it.
Oh, this is going to be a very round hummingbird. Okay, now it looks like some type of bird thing. Oh, okay, I see. Is that Patty? That's so
Oh,
cute.
I would not have thought to do it sideways. I love that. That's really cute. Is that your flamingo?
That's the little bird.
I love it.
What else are you making, Lauren?
I don't know.
What about a shark?
That's a great idea.
Your favorite. My fish almost looks like a shark here, but
So going back to the trivia, when a lot of people thought that sharks were the ones that killed most humans every year, they're actually not dangerous to humans. Like they don't want to eat people. They're not part of their natural diet. So even though sharks look scary and they have a scary reputation, they actually rarely ever attack humans. And I think only about a dozen of the more than 300 species of sharks have been involved in attacks on humans. So, of course, mosquitoes, the disease-carrying mosquitoes are the ones that are way more deadly. Ooh, we should make a horseshoe crab.
there's my giraffe with the high blood pressure. He joined us for our painting event we did like last week or the week before. We made sauropods, shadows, so the big long neck dinosaurs, kind of sitting in the water. So there, I made a dinosaur.
Oh, that's such a cute idea. I like that. And so, horseshoe crabs are actually called living fossils because they existed nearly unchanged for at least 445 million years, which is way before dinosaurs existed, and horseshoe crabs are still alive today, which is really cool. I think somebody should make a horseshoe crab. Maybe I'll try to make this.
Can you tell what I just made down here?
What
Might
did
not,
you make?
might not be super obvious. It's a trilobite, or it's supposed to be at least.
Oh.
The like armor head and then the little thing segment body
Wait, where is it?
right here. Can you
Oh,
see
there. Yeah, move it up. We can't see it. Oh, yeah, there it is. Oh, that's really good. I just made a horseshoe crab.
Do you have anything else you could show us that you've made? Does anyone share? Julie, do you want to share the Padlet? What's on the Padlet?
Yeah, let's see what people are making.
Yeah, hang on. Let me figure out how to do that. Um, hang on a second.
That's the flamingo.
Can you
Oh,
bring
that's so cute. Oh, that's adorable.
It's with 2 fingerprints, so you can get creative.
You don't have to use one fingerprint. You can use multiple, like I made a snake and a dinosaur. So feel free to use more than one fingerprint.
And if you don't have paint, use a lipstick. That's what I'm using.
That's smart. I was wondering why it was pink.
Because it's a lip gloss.
Right, can you guys see this?
Mm-hmm.
All right, hang on. So this is the palette. We got a lot of people submitting. And look at this fingerprint bacteria. It's adorable. We have a koala. Oh, look, I got for this one. All different kinds of animals here.
You can click on the pictures too if you want to make them bigger.
Yeah, make them bigger.
I'm getting a lot now. I gotta approve them all. Let's see. What do we want to look at? Got this cool saltwater crocodile.
Ooh.
And
I love
bacteria. Look how cute.
Those are cute.
And let's see. One of our students submitted these adorable little guys.
Oh,
Thank you, everyone who's sharing their creations with us. These are great.
Look at these. How cute.
Oh,
So cute.
We just got this new one in. Look, somebody like finger painted.
oh, that's so
I love the
cute.
giraffe.
I like the ladybug. That's a good idea. I did not think of that.
Oh, the grasshopper is really good.
See what else. These were mine.
They're
My little
super
giraffe. My little caterpillar.
Snowy the snow leopard. Oh, that's
Right.
cute.
That's awesome. Look at that.
That's a really good one. Wow.
Amazing.
These are great. That's that one in the center with the.
This one?
Well, we can look at that one too. That one's good.
This I think is Ria's. This was
Yeah,
yours, right?
that's mine.
Okay.
It's this
So
one.
down the one, it looks like there's a dinosaur and the butterfly and a bunny. Next, yeah, that one.
There's some
A
fish.
bee.
Dinosaur.
That looks like almost like an angler fish.
Yeah.
Just
Oh, it does. I like that.
love it.
Awesome.
And there's another one. We didn't look at the one with the frog that looks like it's wearing sunglasses.
Oh, this one. Oh,
Lots of cute little frogs. I love it.
I lost my screen.
Well,
Sorry. I lost my screen, so I'm going to stop sharing now.
well, these are great, everyone. Please keep sharing. Oh, I forgot. I could have made I have a peacock on the wall behind me. I should have made a peacock.
That would have been
That's a good idea. So yes, I think we're ready to move on to our next and final part of the evening. Darcy, are you with us? Is she around?
I just talked to her like 5 minutes ago, so she's
okay. She might be getting drink or prepare. But yes, if you enjoyed any of these events, please fill out the survey that will be posted in the comments or the chat, and tell us what you think. Tell us what you liked, what you didn't like. Have suggestions for future topics or future events. Let us know. If you're staying for the whole event, you can fill it out once and fill it out for the whole thing, or you can just fill it out for the few events that you did watch.
And if you guys post any of these on social media, don't forget to tag us. And if you aren't already, please follow us.
Yes, please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I think we're RUGO Museum on Twitter and Instagram. Darcy, are you there now?
I am, sorry.
That's okay. We were busy making fingerprint animals, so
Good, good. I'm just popping this window out so you don't see all my thousands of tabs.
yeah. People seeing your desktop is a little embarrassing sometimes, right? With all this stuff you have opened and
My work desktop is pretty clean. It's really just the tabs. Too many tabs. But yeah, I'm ready to go when you guys
okay,
are.
so when you're ready, you can share your screen. So while she's doing that, we're very excited to welcome Darcy Shapiro. Darcy is a Rutgers alumni. That's actually how we know her. I don't even remember what year it was you did an internship with us at the museum, but she left and went on to bigger and better things. And on Twitter, I found that she was working for this really cool job as like what is it, science content editor? Is that kind of what your job is?
A science communicator is like
Okay.
the broadest way to put it.
Yeah. And so when she announced that she's working on this new show, Bizarre Beast, I thought it was so cool. And I'm so thrilled she said yes, that she would give a presentation for us about this really cool project that she's part of. So take it away, Darcy. Tell us about what makes animals weird.
Will do. Okay. Hey, everyone. Thanks for that introduction, Lauren. And I wanted to start off by thanking you and Patty and all the folks at the Rutgers Geology Museum for asking me to give this talk. So, as you said, I'm Darcy Shapiro. I'm an anthropologist and a science communicator. And after I got my PhD in anthropology at Rutgers, I started working for a company called Complexly that makes educational YouTube videos. Maybe you guys have seen Crash Course or SciShow. That's the company that I work for. And today I'm going to be talking to you about Bizarre Beasts, one of the 2 channels I work on, which is all about weird animals. So, what makes an animal weird? This is like the first question that I start off with when I'm working on a new episode. And when I tell people I work on a show about weird animals, they usually want to suggest some for us to do episodes on. And they give a lot of different reasons why this animal is weird and deserving of an episode. Maybe it looks really funny, or maybe it does something unexpected, or maybe it's just their favorite animal and they want to learn more about it and share it with everybody on the internet. So from here, I'm going to introduce you to some weird animals that fit each of these possible answers. So some things that make animals weird might be it looks weird, maybe it's the only one of its kind in some way, maybe it does something that we as humans just can't do, or maybe it's counterintuitive, maybe it goes against expectations in some way. So I'm going to start with some honorable mentions for each of these different categories, because I couldn't possibly pick just one weird animal for each of them to talk about. And then I'm going to tell you my personal pick for which is like the featured weirdo in this category. And to warn you, I'm definitely biased towards mammals, because they're the group that I know best and they're the group that we belong to. You know, they've got fur, they nurse their young. Most animals you know are probably mammals. And they're cute, which is a pro. My unbiased opinion, though, is that anything that lives in the deep ocean is the weirdest animal, just like every single one of them. And I'll talk about some of them too, because they're pretty incredible. Okay, so a first category for maybe what makes an animal weird is that it looks weird. And I've got a lot of animals on screen here. And I'm just gonna like touch on each of them, because they're all weird looking, but like in kind of different ways. So things that look weird to us are weird because they're not the normal animals that we encounter in our lives. Like normal animals are ones we see every day or we have some kind of relationship with. And what's like a normal animal depends on you, like who's looking at it. It's based on what you expect about the animals in your location or in the environment you're in. Like when I lived in New Brunswick, I expected to see squirrels in the trees, but not monkeys, right? So A monkey in New Brunswick would be like a weird animal, but a squirrel would not be. So what animals are weird, or what we think of as being weird, varies from person to person. And they kind of range from stuff that looks like almost right. So these are like animals 1 through 4 that I have labeled here, and 7, that black bird. And then there are animals that look weird because they're just totally alien, right? And that's like 5, 6, and maybe 8. So I guess 1 is a platypus, right? This is like a classic weird animal. You guys have probably seen it before. But it's weird because it looks like you smushed a duck and a beaver together, right? It's got elements of animals that are familiar, maybe, but together they form something weirder than the sum of their parts. 2 is a pink fairy armadillo. Maybe you've seen an armadillo before. They're gray, kind of scaly looking. The pink fairy is it's just a fancy little armadillo, you know? So it's like it's a little weird. 3, the saiga. It's an antelope that lives in Central Asia. That could be a deer, right? Just with like a Star Wars face piece happening, right? They're very cool. And then 4 is the maned wolf. It just looks like a fox on stilts, right? These are like, we took a normal animal and we just made it like a little weird. 7 is the long wattled umbrella bird, which it could be a crow, just like feeling really fancy that day. But then 5, 6, and 8, these guys are like, whoa, those are weird because like they don't really look like other stuff. They don't look like our normal stuff. So we got the vampire squid at number 5. Remember I said I'd say something about deep sea animals. There's one. Like, what is that? It's basically an alien, right? 6 is the red-lipped batfish, sometimes with internet fame, but it's does that look like a fish? I don't think it looks like a fish, right? It's a weird looking fish. And then 8 is the Indian purple frog. And like, who made a frog purple? Why? Okay, so these were the honorable mentions for the it looks weird category. But my pick for this is the colugo. Maybe you've heard of it, maybe you haven't. They're like pretty obscure. They're also known as flying lemurs, even though they're not lemurs and they don't fly, which is maybe another reason that they're weird, right? We tried to put a name on them that's something familiar to us, even though it doesn't actually describe what these animals really are. It looks kind of like a camo-colored squirrel bat mashup, but cute. There's 2 species of them. They live in Southeast Asia. They're mammals like us, and they're gliders, right? So we got one with its little skin membranes stretched out there, soaring through the air. But they don't fly like bats do, right? It kind of looks like a bat, but the wing membrane, it's between all 4 of its limbs and its tail. And in bats, they have really, really elongated finger bones, and then the membrane is between those. And they fly kind of like birds by flapping their wings. But colugos, they just jump out of a tree and glide, kind of like flying squirrels. They've also got very weird teeth, which is the other picture on this slide. Those are their front teeth, they're incisors, and they look like combs. Like no other mammal has teeth that look like combs like this, which I think is very weird. I look in the mirror, I think teeth are weird kind of anyway. These are extra weird teeth. And in terms of what they're related to, it's not bats, it's us. It's primates and tree shrews are their closest living relatives, even though they don't really look like us. Okay. So for our second category of possible weirdness, I was going with it's the only one, like it's unique. This is the second category. And these are our honorable mentions for that. These animals do something very different from other animals, or they don't have any close living relatives. So here I'm measuring weirdness compared to other animals, not compared to what we think of as normal. So on top, that fish is a member of the family of ice fish. They're the only vertebrate, the only animal with a backbone that doesn't have hemoglobin in their blood. Now, hemoglobin is what makes blood red, and theirs is clear. So that's what you can see in those two test tubes. They have actually clear blood. And we talked about them on Bizarre Beasts before, if you want to go back and check out the video. There's a lot more weird stuff about the ice fish to share. On the bottom, that bird is the Watson. And then we've got the Colugo again, because really, this whole presentation is just me trying to convince you that Colugos are really, really great. And the Watson and the Colugo are the only animals that are in their order. They're just alone there. They're like lonely little twigs on the branches of their family tree. And we'd have to go back millions of years to find the point that they split off from their closest living relatives. So they're evolutionarily pretty unique. We've also talked about the Watson on Bizarre Beasts, the bird that smells like cow poop because it eats leaves and then ferments them. So it's a pretty weird bird. Okay, but my pick for the unique category is this guy called the Tuatara. It's not a lizard. You think it looks like a lizard. It's not a lizard. They're actually also the only surviving member in their taxonomic order. They shared a common ancestor with lizards about 259 million years ago. So they are older than the dinosaurs. And they've pretty much looked like lizard wannabes ever since then. They used to actually be more widespread and diverse than lizards are until sometime in the Cretaceous period. And you can tell them apart from lizards by their teeth, which I'm highlighting in that other picture. They have two parallel rows of teeth in their upper jaws, which is weird, right? Most things just have the one row of teeth, unless you're talking about things like sharks. They've also got a little beak-like structure formed by their front teeth that lizards don't have. So if you ever needed to ID a lizard and a Tuatara, this is how you do it. You probably wouldn't be doing this, though, unless you lived maybe in New Zealand, because that's the only place that they live today. The name Tuatara is actually Maori for peaks on their back, for their little spiny bits. And they actually live for up to 77 years in captivity. They're long-lived, which is cool. And there's just the one species of them. So they're very, very unique, long-lasting survivors, solo species. Okay. The third category of weirdness is about things that we as humans can't do. So we're defining weirdness in relation to us again, but instead of it being about expectations about the animal, it's kind of about our own limitations. So the honorable mentions that I'm showing you here are the Colugo. Surprise, there it is again. They glide, we can't do that. Then we've got the Greenland shark, because I promised you some ocean animals. They live in freezing cold waters in the North Atlantic and Arctic Oceans, which we can't do. And they may live to be like 400 years old, which we also can't do. They don't even start reproducing until they're 150. So it takes them a long time to, get started. And it's probably related to them living in this very, very cold environment. So next to the Greenland shark, we've got Cuvier's beaked whale, which when I was putting this presentation together, I was like, oh, the deepest diving, longest diving whale is the sperm whale, right? It's not. It's Cuvier's beaked whale. They've been measured at dives lasting up to 222 minutes. And they can go almost 2 miles down. Just that little porpoise guy just swimming on down there, which, needless to say, we cannot do, right? Then the other side of the slide, I'm putting manatees and sloths together because they do the same weird thing that we and all other mammals can't do. Okay? They are just these three, solo, alone with this. Over time, they've changed the number of bones in their necks. So most mammals, from us to giraffes, and we've got quite a range of neck lengths going on there. We have 7 bones in our neck, 7 cervical vertebrae. Manatees have 6. Two-toed sloths have between 5 and 7. and three-toed sloths have 8 or 9. And mammals in general, this is like part of their developmental biology. If the number of neck vertebrae change while they're developing, it usually goes along with other like bad changes, like defects and cancers and things like that. So manatees and sloths have beaten the 7 neck bone game for mammals, which I think is really cool. Also, like sloths. Of course, I'm going to show you sloths. It's a weird animal presentation. My pick, though, is a tie. I don't know if you've noticed, I just want to tell you about every weird animal. And these two are exceptionally weird. So we have the sea slug, Elysia timida. They live in the shallow waters in the Mediterranean Sea. And the shallow waters are key because they need sunlight to live. Because they snack on algae, and then they steal the chloroplasts from the algae they're eating and keep them in their digestive tract. And the chloroplasts just keep photosynthesizing. So the sea slug eats the algae, takes the chloroplasts, and then uses them to make energy for it. So like it's a living animal that's photosynthesizing, which no matter how many green veggies you and I eat, you can't do it. So that's awesome. It's also got like a really good mint green and polka dot aesthetic, which I appreciate in a weird animal. And then the other side of the slide, we have the sea pangolin. Remember what I said about us naming things after other things? The pangolin, also a very good weird animal. This is not that animal. This is a scaly foot snail. They live on 4 hydrothermal vents in the Indian Ocean, like 1.5 miles underwater. So they have to deal with crushing water pressure. And because they live on hydrothermal vents, water temperatures get up to 750 degrees Fahrenheit. And these little snails survive by building their own suit of armor out of iron sulfide. So that's why they've got that dark outer shell. And researchers also think it doesn't eat anything. It has bacteria that live in a gland that produce energy for it. So like it builds its own armor and it doesn't eat anything. And like, we have to eat. We cannot do this. Yeah, so I think both, remember when I said deep sea animals? I think these both are just absolutely incredible. Okay, the final category of weirdness is that a thing goes against expectations. I have a bunch of honorable mentions here. I'm gonna make it through all of them. Okay, so here I'm saying a thing is not closely related to the things it looks the most like. So this weirdness is about our expectations about relationships between animals based on what they look like. So the first one was like, it looks weird compared to all other animals. This one is like, it looks weird compared to its closest relative. So on the blue side of the slide, we have the binturong questioning everything. Who am I? It's also called a bear cat. That kind of looks like a weasel. It's not a bear. It's not a cat. It's not a weasel. It is a member of a family called Viverridae. It also lives in Southeast Asia. And its pee smells like buttered popcorn or corn chips for some cool biochemical reasons that we talk about in the Bizarre Beasts video on the binturong. You want to check that out for more. On the white part of the slide, at the top, we've got a bat and the colugo again, because this is a colugo appreciation presentation. And I already told you, they're not that closely related. Bats, it turns out, are more closely related to carnivores, horses, antelope, and whales than they are to the colugo, in spite of both of these guys coming up with this whole skin membrane flying system thing. And speaking of whales, we've got a humpback whale there in the middle, next to their closest living relative, the hippo. And this was kind of like a paleontological mystery for a long time, like where do whales come from? What are they related to? And we figured out that they're related to hippos based on some ankle bones from some very old fossil whales that still had ankles, which you may notice they no longer have ankles. Okay. And then down at the bottom, we've got our very last honorable mentions, which are hyenas. And I love hyenas. They were my favorite animal as a child, so I had to find a way to get them in here somewhere. They look kind of like dogs, but they're actually more closely related to cats. And the striped one is called an aardwolf. And even though it's got wolf in the name, it's still a hyena, more closely related to cats. But it actually just eats insects, kind of like an anteater. So it itself is like a weird, especially weird hyena, even among all hyenas, which are weird. Okay, so my featured pick for this strange evolutionary relationships category are these little guys called hyraxes. They look kind of like rodents, but they're not. They're found in the Middle East and sub-Saharan Africa. They're active in the daytime. Some of them live in trees and are more kind of solitary. They live on their own. And some live in rock outcrops and they live in groups. They have suction cup feet. So they can like tense the muscles in their hands and feet to like better suction cup onto rocks so they can climb better, which as a rock climber myself, I would like to have that special power. They also make a really, really terrible high-pitched screaming noise that I couldn't figure out how to embed here, so you're welcome. But you can find it on YouTube if you want to check it out. And they split from the group that includes elephants and manatees around 65 million years ago. And okay, manatees and elephants, they're both big, they're both gray, but they've also changed a lot in that time too. Like we've got legs versus no legs, so that's a big change. And all of these guys are related to each other more closely than to anything else, which is wild, and I love it. Okay, so is the colugo the weirdest animal? It showed up in every category of weirdness, and you might expect that I'm going to tell you it is, but it's not. I think the weirdest animal is us. As an anthropologist, I study what makes us human, from our early ancestors to how we got to be what we are today. So while there's no doubt that we're mammals and primates and great apes, and we have a lot of things in common with all of those groups, we've also got some pretty weird quirks of our own. And I want to turn this like figuring out what's weird lens on us now. Okay, so we look weird. We do check that first box, right? Compared to other primates, we're pretty hairless and unusually sweaty. And this probably has to do with another one of our weird traits, which I'll talk about on the next slide. So while we are still covered in hair, it's very thin and fine. And we have between 2 and 5 million watery sweat glands, which is like 10 times more than chimpanzees have. And they're our closest living relatives. Yeah, so if you check out the primates that I've got on this slide, all of them have, you know, exceptionally luxurious coats, and we just do not. Yeah. So I think we look weird compared to other primates. Okay, in terms of what's really unique about us, we're the only animal that does this walking and running upright thing as our primary way we get around. Two-legged birds and kangaroos and their relatives don't move the way we do, even though they also get around on 2 feet. We're what are called obligate bipeds. We evolved to run and walk, and we can't really do anything else. And this means we have very unique looking hip bones compared to other primates, and it means we have worse knee and back problems, unfortunately. It might also be the reason that we're mostly hairless and pretty sweaty. Some researchers think being able to better cool our bodies through sweating helped our ancestors be better at chasing down prey. And the other YouTube channel that I work on, PBS Eons, just released an episode on this today, if you're curious about our unusual sweatiness. Okay, so that's checkbox number 2. Category number 3, do we do something that other animals can't do? And can we flip it around and say, is there something we don't do that a lot of other animals do? The thing that we do that other animals can't do is we drink their milk. We drink the milk of other animals. Some of us. And this, as far as I know, is something no other animal does unless we're the ones giving it to them. As kids, most of us could drink milk, no problem. We're able to break down the lactose, which is the particular kind of sugar in it. And some of us hang on to this ability as adults, which is also something that no other mammals do, though a lot of people also don't. And the thing that we don't do that most other mammals can do is that our bodies can't make their own vitamin C. We have to get it from our food. And we lost the ability to make our own vitamin C along with all of our other monkey and ape relatives sometime around 60 million years ago because of like a tiny change in one of our genes. So drink your milk if you can, eat your oranges. Okay, so I say check. We do weird stuff. And I think we maybe go a little bit against expectations in terms of what we're most closely related to. So I'm stretching a little bit here. We're definitely not as different looking from chimpanzees as a hyrax is from an elephant. But early anthropologists, they looked at chimps and gorillas and then in the mirror, and they figured that chimps and gorillas were probably each other's closest relatives, which, okay, fair. They've both got dark fur, similar noses. They both walk on their knuckles. We don't do these things. But we know now from genetics that that isn't true. Chimps are our closest relatives, and the gorilla is a cousin of both. So I'm giving us a checkbox on this one because I'm the one who made the presentation. So really what I'm trying to say with all of this is that what's weird depends on who's doing the deciding. It's about what's weird to us. And we can look at ourselves in the same way. We're strange and unique, and so are most other animals out there if you look hard enough. So thanks. That's my wrap up on this. We're weird animals, but there's a lot of other weird animals out there too. And I'd love to tell you guys more about them on Bizarre Beasts, youtube.com/bizarrebeasts. New episodes come out the first Friday of every month, including this Friday. We've got a great one for December. I'm very excited about it. But if extinct animals and fossils are more your style, you can check out the other channel I work on, which is youtube.com/eons. So thanks for listening. I'm happy to answer any questions about weird animals that I can.
That was, sorry, I have my weird animals barking and climbing on me at my house. But that was great. That was so interesting. Thank you. You can stop sharing if you want to go to the Google Doc. We've been compiling questions for you there.
Sure. I had it open in another one of my tabs. Oh no. Let's see if I can find it.
Julie, can you send it to her in the chat?
Just
I got it. We're good.
Okay, good.
Okay. Okay. I'm starting from the top. What is the most unusual snake that I know of? I mean, I don't know very many snakes personally, but sea snakes? I think that's a pretty unusual snake, right? Because they've managed to live in the water. And once you have evolved to live on land and then you go back into the water, that's pretty weird. Yeah, so sea snakes. My most unusual snakes answer is sea snakes. I've been looking for a good snake to do a Bizarre Beasts episode about. Haven't found one yet that I want to talk about, but I will eventually, I'm sure. The second question, if the tuatara is not a lizard, then what is it? How big can they get? So they're reptiles like lizards are. They're just in their own order called Rhynchocephalia. They're just other reptiles that happen to look like lizards, but they aren't actually lizards. And as far as how big they can get, I don't know off the top of my head. I would imagine fairly large. I saw some Google images of people holding them kind of like iguana style, and they looked maybe about this big, but I don't know how big they max out. So maybe the Google elves behind the scenes can check that one for me. What's the weirdest animal I've personally encountered? Huh. I have to think about this for a second. I mean, I, this one, is this the hardest question that I'm gonna get? Maybe. How do I mean, you just saw me give a presentation on like 27 weird animals. Like, I don't know if I can pick just one for me. I'll give this a thought and come back to it maybe. Let's see. Can I put praying mantis here as like this is a possible answer? Praying mantises. I now live in California, and prior to living in California, I had seen maybe 2 in my entire life, and they're just like everywhere here. They're pretty weird. Oh, we got an answer on the tuatara. They can get 1/2 meter in length. So it's a pretty good sized reptile, you know. What do colugos eat? Fruit, leaves, maybe some bugs. Herbivorous. Are colugos related to flying squirrels, or do they have a similar build? They have a similar build. It's convergent evolution, where 2 unrelated animals end up with the same adaptations because they have a similar lifestyle and they live in similar environments. Okay. Is there a reason tuataras haven't migrated away from New Zealand, from Astree? It's an island. They just can't make it off. That's pretty much the answer. A follow-up from Astree. Do we know why ice fish have clear blood? Yeah, because they don't have any hemoglobin in their blood. And hemoglobin is the thing that hooks onto iron. And you know, when iron rusts, it turns red. So hemoglobin carries iron in blood, and that's why it's red. And since ice fish don't have any hemoglobin, no red blood. They have clear blood instead. They're actually a lot less efficient than we are at carrying oxygen in our blood because of this. Philip says, ice fish have clear blood. Why is it clear? Does it have the same properties as regular blood? Well, I answered part of that. As far as the properties of their blood, it's not as thick as red blood. That's pretty much it. And like I said, it just doesn't carry oxygen as well, because the oxygen just has to like diffuse into the clear blood instead of being able to like hang on to these little red blood cells and get carried along. Are there other animals that make their shells out of iron sulfide? Not that I'm aware of. I think the scaly-foot snail might be unique in that regard, which is pretty incredible. What's my favorite bizarre animal? I mean, this is like, what's the weirdest animal I've ever personally encountered? Is it possible to have a favorite? Let's just say the colugo. I mean, I have to, right? If we bring a sea pangolin to the surface, would it survive since it's used to crushing water pressures? I don't know how this works for deep sea snails. I know when they bring up like deep sea fish to the surface to study, they have to do it in a special way so those fish don't like pop. But I'm not sure about the sea pangolin. Okay. How did I get involved with the Bizarre Beasts channel? So, like I said, I work for a company called Complexly, and I originally started working for them as a freelance writer for PBS Eons. And when I ended up transitioning to full-time working there, my boss, Hank Green, wanted to make Bizarre Beasts its own channel because he'd originally started doing this on his Vlogbrothers channel. And I happen to be a person on staff who really likes weird animals. So that's how I ended up writing for Bizarre Beasts. Do I know of any animals that also get knee and back pain like people do? Any vertebrate can have back pain. It's been documented in horses and dogs. Our particular back and knee pain is because our ancestors got around on four limbs, like the way that other primates do. And for us, the changes to our skeletons that had to happen to let us be upright walkers and runners just puts a lot of pressure on our back and our knees. So blame evolution for that one. Do all animals make their own vitamin C? Most other mammals do. Guinea pigs also don't. There are some fruit bats that also don't make their own vitamin C. They eat fruit, much like we did back in the day, so it's not really a problem. And there are a number of birds that are also fruit eaters that have lost the ability to make their own vitamin C. So it seems to be like a pretty common gene mutation across mammals and birds for the most part. Which doesn't make it any less weird. Guys, I see you there trying to trip me up. What is a really bizarre extinct animal? There are so many. There are so many. I guess I've been thinking a lot about these long-necked marine reptiles called tanystrophiids lately. They kind of look like a plesiosaur or like Loch Ness Monster, if you know what those are supposed to look like. Yeah, they have just incredibly long necks and like little tiny heads. So they're a weird one. The Triassic period was just absolutely full of wild, bizarre, extinct animals. There's another one called Atopodentatus that had like a flat hammerhead mouth that it like clipped sea plants with. Weird, it's just a weird looking animal. Next up, do I have a favorite dinosaur? Yes, I do have a favorite dinosaur. I have an answer to this question. It's Parasaurolophus. That's my favorite dinosaur. I have one that lives on my desk. That's this guy. They're kind of a classic duck-billed dinosaur. There have been studies about whether they could make like honking noises with the crests on their heads. I don't know. I've always liked them since I was a child. They're my favorite dinosaur. They just seem like they'd be nice, Christina wants to know, what is the biggest weird animal? The blue whale. I mean, objectively, it's the biggest animal I think that has ever existed, like in the history of animals, and it's alive today. Like we share our planet with the biggest thing ever, which is like pretty incredible. Carl says, I have recently read that platypus fluoresce under black light. Do I have a guess as to why that happens? Honestly, I saw this article also, but I read the headline and then I didn't read the full article. I know that there are flying squirrels that also fluoresce bubblegum pink under black light, and it might be that they can see this fluorescence happening more than we can in other kinds of light. So it might be some kind of signal just between platypuses saying like, hey, I'm here. That's my best guess off the top of my head. Oh, that's the end of it. Okay, well, thanks for all your questions, guys. I absolutely loved talking about weird animals. And yeah, thanks for all the questions. Really excited.
Hey, thank you so much, Darcy. That was really awesome. I learned so much. I didn't even see a lot of these animals before, so that was really cool. So thank you again for giving that talk for us and telling us all about these bizarre animals. And
No
thank you to our
problem.
audience. Oh, and thank you to our audience for everyone for joining tonight. And so just want to make a little announcement that on Friday, we do have our Ask a Geologist web series continuing at 1 p.m. And we will have Sophia Podzik from, she's going to be talking about anthropology, archaeology, and that's going to be on Friday at 1 p.m. So please tune into that, and thank you once again, Darcy. And I think you have something to say.
And I wanted to also remind you guys that this is the last late night of this year. So we will also regroup in the spring semester. We're already working on that. And we are preparing for our virtual open house, and that will happen on January 30th, 2021. So please mark your calendars. We will provide you with more information shortly.
Yes, and be sure you all subscribe to Bizarre Beasts so that you can hear more of what Darcy does. So thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Have a good rest of your night or afternoon for those who are on the West Coast. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.